Nobody wants to see how the sausage is made, but that doesn't mean you can't make them right. So what separates the best bangers from the worst? Let's start with a controversial one. You should probably try to avoid pricking your sausages before you cook them. Poking holes in sausages is an age-old technique used to make sure that the inside of the sausage is cooked properly. In most cases, this method also keeps sausages from exploding during the cooking process. That said, poking holes in your sausage can do more harm than good when it comes to keeping them nice and juicy. And everyone knows that juicy sausages are the best kind to eat. So what should you do instead? Just leave them be. If you need to know that your sausages are cooked all the way through, use a meat thermometer to check. Obviously, a thermometer will pierce the skin of the meat slightly, but it isn't really the same as poking holes all over the meat and losing all that fat as it cooks. If it's moist, juicy sausages you crave, you'll definitely want to resist temptation and keep that fork away.
Holy forking fork.
Most sausages tend to be fatty, oily, and juicy. Isn't that why we love them? But it isn't necessarily true that you don't need oil to cook a good sausage. In fact, a touch of oil can help you sear the perfect piece of meat. You don't want to go too far, of course, and sausages absolutely don't need to be doused in a bucket of oil before being fried up over the stove. Still, just the slightest touch of oil in your pan, about 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon, is enough to get your sausages started. This means that they'll brown nicely on the outside and maintain all that flavorful juiciness on the inside. Adding just a hint of oil in the pan will help your meat develop the perfect sear without turning your sausages gray and unappetizing. Jump-starting the cook in this manner can also speed up the cooking time, since oil tends to heat quickly. You do want to be careful about what temperature you choose when using oil to heat your sausages, however, and always be sure to check for doneness. Many people like to prick holes in their sausages because it prevents the hot juices inside from spurting out, potentially causing genuine harm and undoubtedly making a huge mess. But there is a better solution to this problem. Allow your sausages to rest. Letting your sausages rest doesn't mean you're letting them sit out all day until they're no longer worth eating. All in all, this process can take as little as 10 minutes, but it can do wonders for your sausage meat. The reason? Letting sausages sit before slicing allows the fats in the sausage to redistribute so that the sausage is evenly juicy, meaning there will be no pockets of searing liquid waiting inside. Give it a few minutes before slicing into the sausage and you'll never again have to worry about the dreaded squirt. If you've never tried frying your favorite sausages with onions and peppers, you don't know what you're missing. Add these ingredients to a little oil along with your sausages and you'll impart them with a whole new level of flavor. So which sausages go well with peppers and onions? Well, it's usually best to use broths or smoked sausages. To get started, slice your onions and peppers into thin strips. Once sliced, add a little oil to your pan and fry up veggies until they reach your desired level of softness. For more flavor, throw in a dash of salt, sugar, and black pepper. Remove the veggies from the pan, then fry up your sausages. If you'd prefer, you can also reverse this cooking process and fry the sausages up first. Either way, once finished, add your onions and peppers back into the pan to warm everything back up. Looking for a way to put a little extra spin on your sausage? While you may not be able to flavor every kind of sausage, you'll be pleased to know that the ones that aren't sold in casings can be relatively easy to season, as long as you know what flavor you're looking for. Now, let's be honest here. Not all sausages should be spruced up in the first place. Many sausages are seasoned to perfection and need no help at all. Others, meanwhile, may need a little bit of extra love and care. In that case, you can feel free to add additional seasoning to help your sausages shine. Adding additional seasonings to your sausage is easiest with breakfast sausage or sausages that come raw and without casings. You're probably best starting off with familiar flavors such as garlic, sage, sugar, crushed red pepper flakes, black pepper, or even a bit of smoked paprika to get started. From there, you can branch out and see what other herbs and spices might suit your palate. Simply sprinkle it over your raw sausages as they cook, or mix the spices in with your hands. Do whatever works for you. While some people might love a good seared flavor in their sausages, it can be quite disparaging to slice into the sausage only to find that the inside isn't fully cooked. So how can you achieve an incredibly crispy texture while also making sure the inside gets done? The trick is to nix the high heat when cooking up your sausages. Although you might assume that you'd need a high heat to get the perfect charred flavor in your sausage, the truth is that a moderate heat will keep sausages juicy yet snappy and perfectly cooked on the outside. This means cooking in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit on the stove at medium to medium-high heat and on the grill at 350 degrees. These temperatures are going to be your best bets for optimal sausage flavor, texture, and juiciness. Are you accustomed to slicing your meat to check for doneness? In many cases, this can admittedly be the best option. Unfortunately, slicing through your sausages can have a dire effect on the juiciness of your meat and may lead to a drier, less tasty final result. Instead of slicing through your sausages to check if they're cooked, you'll be much better off investing in a food thermometer. Using one of these bad boys enables you to get a reading on the internal temperature of your sausage, which will let you know whether your sausage is safe for eating. The recommended internal temperature for pork sausage is 160 degrees Fahrenheit per the U.S. Department of Agriculture. To use your meat thermometer, simply insert the probe into the middle of the sausage and wait for your reading. This prevents you from having to slice through your sausages and thus unnecessarily losing all that juice and flavor. Not to mention, meat probes are more accurate in determining the doneness of meat than the naked eye, and it doesn't hurt that they're inexpensive, too.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Cooking your sausages in beer isn't a completely new idea, but it's popular for a reason, namely the fact that beer makes sausages taste that much better. Though you could cook basically any kind of sausage in beer, it really is best to attempt this method with brats. Doing so will impart beautiful flavors of malt, hops, and savory sweetness to the meat. To cook your brats in beer, simply boil them in it beforehand. This gives your brats a chance to fully absorb the flavor. Once you've boiled the sausages until they're fully cooked through, go ahead and throw them on the grill for a few minutes to give them some added color. This will keep your sausages from looking too dull and gray, while also imparting that nice grilled flavor and snappy texture. Oh, and beer isn't the only thing you can cook sausages in, not by a long shot. Did you know you can actually cook sausages in soda products? It's true. While it might sound weird, the sweet and syrupy nature of soda lends itself perfectly to the spicy flavors of sausages. And the sky's the limit when it comes to picking which type of soda will work for your sausages. Just make sure that what you pick is sweet, as this is what imparts flavor to the meat. We wouldn't necessarily recommend anything like grape or orange soda unless you want your sausages to taste like grapes or oranges, but Sprite, 7-Up, or Coca-Cola usually do the trick. To pull this off, grab some smoked sausage and a bottle of your favorite soda drink. Chop your smoked sausage into 1-inch thick rounds and toss them in your skillet. Place on your stove over high heat. Add your smoked sausage to the skillet along with your bottle of soda. Once the contents of your skillet start to get hot, bump your heat down to medium-high and allow your sausages to cook and marinate in the soda. After about 30 minutes, you'll notice your sausages begin to caramelize in the soda. Remove them from the heat, allow them to cool, and serve them hot. Cooking your sausages in wine? Yep, you can do that too. But we aren't talking about any old sausages here. If you want to pull off a decent vino-based sausage, you'll need to get a hold of some Italian meat.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball!
To make this dish, all you need are Italian sausage links along with a bit of oil, the wine of your choice, chicken or beef broth, herbs, and some onions for grilling. Start by heating your oil in a large, shallow skillet over medium heat. Once the oil is hot, carefully place your links in to get them nicely seared. Add the onions and continue to cook until they wilt and become fragrant. To this, add your wine of choice along with a bit of broth and any herbs you like, though you can't go wrong with thyme and rosemary. Cook until the wine reduces to about 1/3 of its original volume and serve with leafy greens. In case you don't know by now, the air fryer is a wondrous machine that can make virtually anything taste just as good as it did when cooked on the stove, and sometimes even better. Brats, sausage links, smoked sausage, and sausage patties are no different. All of these types of sausages and more can be cooked to plump, juicy deliciousness in just a matter of minutes. To make your brats in an air fryer, you'll first want to consult the instructions concerning how long to cook them for. This varies from model to model. Generally speaking, pre-cooked sausages will barely take any time at all, while raw and thick sausages like brats may take up to 14 to 15 minutes. In addition, different air fryer sausage recipes may recommend different heat settings for each, so be sure to do this research ahead of time. Ultimately, your air fryer provides an easy and convenient way to cook sausages without smoking up your kitchen or kicking up the grill. This tip might be largely practical, but that doesn't mean it's not important. When transferring your sausages to a plate, always be sure to use tongs instead of a knife or fork. Piercing your sausage in any way can drain the juices, especially when those piercings are multiple or very large. Remember, the goal here is to retain as much flavor and moisture as possible in sausages. So whether you pierce them as you move them or do so purposefully to keep them from exploding, you'll likely be causing serious damage to an otherwise flavorful piece of meat. And yes, using a food thermometer would require piercing too, but you don't need to worry too much about that, as this entails piercing only one sausage in one spot. It's also necessary to keep yourself and your guests from getting sick. Aside from that, though, you'll want to keep the piercing to a bare minimum, even while moving them, and ideally not do it at all.